Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are actresses Adriana Sevan and Gay Thomas. Actress-writer Adriana Sevan was born and raised in New York on the Upper West Side, before it was trendy, she says. After high school, she attended the City University of New York, where she was taught by the masters of the theater. Obviously, you wanted to act when you went to that school because you were in theater. Mm-hmm. So what was it in your family? How did you know?
Well, my father's an opera singer and my mom was a dancer, and they met in a show.
You're kidding, really?
No, I wish I was.
So can you sing and dance?
I can sing, but not opera, and I can dance up until a week ago.
We're going to talk about that.
But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's in the blood.
Oh, it is in the blood. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone else in the family, bigger family?
My father's whole side of the family are dancers and singers, and yeah.
So you had to follow suit.
I did. Well, you know, when I was 4 years old, I remember seeing my dad singing the Beethoven Ninth Symphony. And when it was amazing. I mean, here's
so
my
great.
handsome dad in a tuxedo, and it felt like he was singing to me in the audience. And I think I was hooked from then on.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Your name, Sevan, is the name of an Armenian lake.
Yes.
Is that your background?
I am half Armenian. My mother's Armenian, and my dad is Basque and Dominican. And because my dad is Basque, and as some of you may know, the Basques have very long last names, so his name is Inchaustegui. And after graduating college, I had to break the name down into syllables on my resume so people could actually pronounce my name when I'd walk into an audition.
Oh.
And it was so much work. And my father, having been an entertainer who went from Aristides Inchaustegui to Adre Ray, understood name changes.
Oh, he changed too.
He did, and my mother was Jane Agajanian, and she changed to Jan Cole. So they forgave me, and because Adriana represents the sort of Latin side, I wanted something representative of my Armenian side. So
you have the mix.
I do.
That's fabulous.
I do.
Yeah, I think because when I see you on stage, you've done a lot of Nilo Cruz's plays, and it's Cubano.
Yes.
But your Spanish is perfect. Did you speak Spanish at home?
Well, it's interesting. My grandmother, my Dominican grandmother, who actually is mentioned in my play, Taking Flight, fabulous, gorgeous, delicious woman. She lived with us from when I was 2 until 4, and she didn't really speak any English. Oh. So from 2 to 4, I had the experience of hearing Spanish and just sort of being around the rhythms. And then from 4, sadly my parents split up when I was 4, and I was pretty much just in a very American environment. And it wasn't until I was 19 and I started studying flamenco and went to Spain to further my studies that I was immersed in the Spanish again.
Oh,
and I was embarrassed to say that I was of Latin descent and I couldn't speak the language. So I forced myself to speak.
Then it comes back though, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The seeds were planted.
Right. And when you got out of school, did you go right to Broadway, or did you have to wait tables? Or off Broadway, I should say.
Yeah, haven't gotten to Broadway yet, but I'm walking there slow.
Right.
Here we go. But no, I had to wait tables in an Italian restaurant and work till 2 in the morning, and
Did
and
all
then
the
get
things.
up and
Yeah.
look fabulous for an audition. But it's all part of the course.
Were you writing all the time? Were you writing at that time?
I've always written, kept journals, loved writing short stories, poems, but it wasn't until 2002 that I actually made the intention to write something for theater.
And you wrote this very short piece, Flight.
Yes.
I guess it was.
Yes.
And tell us about that.
Well, in 2002, I was invited by a friend who was doing an evening of theater called 9/11 Writers Respond.
Oh, right.
And in having heard a story that I had experienced, he was very moved, and he said, you should write that down, and I'm going to give you one of the 15-minute slots to do a play. And I thought, you're out of your mind. I can't write for theater. I don't know how to write a play.
But were you writing improv at the you'd written
Nothing.
that? Oh, you hadn't written
Nothing.
anything. Is that
And
right?
so I said no at first, and then I took a long train ride from the Jiva Theater in Rochester to New York. And by the time I got off the train, I said, you know, that's something you don't say no to. So I said yes, and my director, Giovanna Sardelli, who is a dear friend and who has directed the production of Taking Flight here at the Kirk Douglas,
Yes.
I called upon her knowing she's a great director and a really intelligent, smart person at developing new work. And I said, I have a performance date in 3 weeks, and I have not a stitch written. Would you direct my play? And she said, of course.
But that was
So-
your short 15-minute slot that you had to
Yes.
do. Did you work together, or did she help you write it then?
Absolutely. She did not help me write it, but what she helped me do was develop it. And by that I mean we got into a studio, and I brought pictures, and I brought stories, and I brought questions, and then I would improv. And then from the improvs, I'd
I
go
see.
home and write.
But then that piece turned out to be an hour and what? An hour and 10 minutes, 70, 80 minutes at the Kirk Douglas Theater. And the thing that I loved about the Center Theater Group doing this is that they called it Solomania.
Yes.
And they had 4 people
Yes.
doing solo plays.
Yes.
Incredible.
Very different stories,
Totally.
very different and delicious styles. Each story is compelling and deeply personal, and it is such an honor to be part of this mix.
What direction did they give you? So you already had Flight, but did you think you were going to use this for Solomania?
Well, I had Flight, and that was in 2002. And then in 2004, Diane Rodriguez, who was running a program called the Latino Theater Initiative at the Center Theater Group, invited me along with 4 other women to develop solo work.
I was going to ask you about that. And she invited you because you were Latino?
Because
and
I'm Latina,
a part?
and she had heard that I
Part
was
Lat-
writing, and
I
she
see.
wanted to support young voices that were beginning, you know,
I see.
to explore writing. And I arrived there with a fabulous outline for a biographical piece, and in it was me talking about how I wanted to be Brigida in The Sound of Music when I was 10, and I just thought I was funnier than, you know, than funny. And she heard the 15-minute piece that I had written, and there was 3 pages of a hospital visit to a friend of mine that
Yes.
was in the hospital for a year and a half in a very lengthy and difficult recovery. And she said, your play is those 3 pages. And I thought, oh, no, I don't want to go into that. That's too painful. That's difficult. And besides, all I know was how to write that, 3 pages. I don't know how to make a play out of that. And she said, take this 2 weeks and just go in, so try, see what you come up with.
So that's part of the program? It's like 2 weeks, or do you bring the material back and forth and they talk about it?
You talk about it among your colleagues. They have a playwright in residence and a dramaturg, and it's just people just getting a chance to, you know, read their material and get feedback and sort of see how it's all coming together. And I wrote the first 18 pages of Taking Flight through that 2 weeks.
Well, you've been on TV, you've been in Sex and the City and Law and Order, and you've been in the movies, and you've been on stage a lot. What do you like the best?
Wow, I love the money in TV and film, and who wouldn't? And I love theater. I think there's nothing quite as magical as a group of people taking some time out of their lives and going into the dark together and somehow emerging at its best, a little different, with a question to continue to think about, or with a heart touched and moved, or laughter releasing some tension of the day. There's just something so extraordinary about strangers coming together and sharing an event.
But even if it's one person, right?
Absolutely.
You can make it. I don't want to leave right away because I have to ask you so many things. You were starting to write, you wanted to write about your Armenian grandfather.
Absolutely.
And you're doing interviews on that.
I'm interviewing the family to piece together my grandfather, Ardavas Kachik Agajanian. They called him Jimmy. I don't know why. That's what they did when he got to Ellis Island, how a name like that turned into Jimmy. But anyway, so my dream is to go to Armenia and to go to his birthplace, which is Yersinga, and to write his story. I don't think that one can set out to write a play about a Holocaust, but I think what I've learned through Taking Flight is if you tell one person's story and you tell it well, there's there's an audience that you know,
So
can respond.
that could be a one-person show again?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'll get back to you on that one.
And that one, getting you back to the stage, we talked about your leg. You were at opening night and taking flight at the Douglas Theater, and what happened? I saw it before you injured yourself. So I saw you dancing on stage, climbing up ladders, getting up and down off of things.
Yeah, well, basically, opening night, you know, the dream night, the friends, family, critics, and show's going great, first 15 minutes, and I come down in a particular dance move, and I feel the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I get knocked onto my back, and I'm rolling around in pain, but since the show is so flamboyant and I take you to so many places, people didn't know that I was injured. They thought it was part of the show.
You're laying there on the stage?
Screaming in pain, and so I had to say, this is not part of the show, I need help. So, unbeknownst to me, Kirk Douglas is there.
Oh, he sits in the front row.
This is his theater, and he's in the front row.
That's right.
And one of the producers whispers to me, Mr. Douglas is here. And I totally forget the pain in my knee, and I'm like, Mr. Douglas, what an honor, what a pleasure to meet you. And he says, can I get you anything? And I said, a drink. And he says, I'm going to go to the lobby and have a drink for you.
I'm going to have it for you?
And paramedics came. It was surreal being surrounded by firemen on stage in the middle of my play, which has something to do with 9/11. And we made the decision for me to continue. They wrapped my leg in ice, and I continued. And after Kirk Douglas came up on stage and hugged me and just made me feel like family, it was an amazing night. And I'm happy to say that I've been able to continue the run of the show. I'm sitting down in the chair.
Oh,
and
it's different. You can't climb up and down the ladders.
You know, I'm not doing gymnastics, but from all the feedback we've gotten from audiences, it is as compelling. And I'll be honest with you, because one of the characters is somebody that was in bed for a year and a half in recovery, my portrayal as an actress has really deepened to understand what it is to not be able to get up and leave and walk and move and be free.
It almost shows what her anger was, doesn't it?
Totally. I tell you, what I'm experiencing now is a paper cut to what the real live person went through, and I am awed and humbled by her strength.
I love that the show must go on.
It must. It took me 2 years to get here. I'm not going away. I tore my ACL ligament, so I'm going to...
But you went through a lot of, like, in Our Lady of 121st Street, that was like some strenuous stuff going on too.
Yeah,
and two women and two
sisters
and a piano.
Yeah, and Anna in the Tropics having sexual liaisons on top of tobacco tables.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be flexible and limber in the theater.
Oh wow!
So
you've proved it, Adriana.
Oh well, thank you. I mean, it's really it's my love, it's my passion, and I'm grateful to be able to continue the run, and look forward to getting literally back on my feet.
Yes.
Really fast.
Do it soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this part of the show. We'll be right back with Gay Thomas. Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm with actress, model, makeup artist, Gay Thomas Wilson. She was born in St. Louis and raised in Los Angeles. Gay was a theater major at Cal State LA, and you've been seen on TV shows, including The Sopranos, Nip and Tuck, Law and Order. When you left Cal State LA, did you think you were going to be on stage or in TV?
Well, actually, I was a theater major there at Cal State Los Angeles, and I left. At the time, I was modeling.
You were?
But I was modeling so that I could pay for my acting classes. So I totally expected.
Oh, you expected to go
that
on
something
stage.
was going to happen, some sort of way.
Who did you study with there?
Warren Robertson was my first acting teacher, who was fantastic. I understand Warren's in Canada these days. I also studied with Elaine Aiken at the Actors Conservatory, who was absolutely incredible. And Lily, once Elaine left us, Lily took over, and I spent, I think, 4 years with Lily.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so were you here in LA studying the whole time?
Actually, no, I was in school, and again, I started modeling.
Did you do that in New York?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, there
Yes,
you
I
went.
did.
You left and went to New York. What kind of modeling were you doing?
I was with Elite and Wilhelmina. First Elite for 3 years, I believe, and then the rest of the time I was with Wilhelmina.
What were you doing? Just magazine, editorial? What were you doing?
I did a lot of everything. I did catalog, I did commercials, I did
Oh, you
print in general. I also did some editorial.
Did you
covers.
do runway?
I didn't do a lot of runway because I'm only 5'7".
Oh, you're
And
only.
so I was known as a print model mostly. I did go to Paris though.
Did you?
Yes, I did. It was fantastic.
So you were doing all these kind of modeling jobs. Why didn't you continue for your lifetime career?
Well, I did. I modeled for quite a while, over 10 years.
Oh, you
and,
did?
And that's all I did. I traveled all around the world. It was fantastic. But at the end of the day, I wanted to act.
You still wanted to act.
And I was able to pay for my acting classes.
Didn't you feel modeling was kind of acting in a way?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I found there was somewhat of a conflict. Once I
Interesting.
really began to understand acting and studying acting, modeling became difficult for me because I couldn't express myself as a model. You are someone else's palette.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, and you don't talk.
But you do when you're doing a play, you don't talk. But when you're doing a play, you're also acting out someone else's words.
Yes, but it requires your emotion. It requires your
see.
experience. It
I
requires
see.
something from you that modeling doesn't.
I
Modeling
see.
is about the superficial beauty,
Yeah.
skin.
Right.
I mean, it was fantastic.
Right.
I had an incredible career.
When did you decide to come back to LA and start
I
working?
actually went back and forth between New York and LA for quite a while.
Oh, I see.
And I moved back to LA this time about 4 years ago.
Oh, and now you're here. Did you
Now
have
I'm
a
here.
favorite director when you were doing TV? I know you worked with James Burrows.
Yes, who was fantastic for Seinfeld. James was great. Also, I worked, the very first film that I did was The Cotton Club. And I worked with Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, so
What
you do
a
have favorites.
tremendous experience. And of course, Carl Franklin.
Oh.
I worked with Carl for Laurel Avenue, a miniseries I did for HBO. And Carl he's incredible.
So
These
were
are the
you-
people that I admire and would like to aspire to be, but I don't direct.
I was going to say, did you learn something different from each one of those people?
Oh yes, absolutely. I watched, let's see, it was Richard Gere and Nicolas Cage that starred in The Cotton Club, and I watched Francis work with them improvisationally, just spend time with them to help them develop their characters and make good choices. That was an incredible experience for me because I was new as an actress. And then with Carl, who I worked directly with, Carl was an actor himself at one time, so he really knew how to talk to us as actors and bring out the best in us. We
Are
did
they
really good
always
work.
kind? Is there a kindness about them, do you feel?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good directors, I think, actually create an atmosphere for the actor where you feel free and
I
you're
wonder.
you're in a creative mode and there's not a lot of fear or pressure around you. A good director does that for you.
One thing that, talking about a good director and writer, I think, something that you were very closely associated with was One Body, One Mind.
Yes.
That was a play, right?
Yes, this is a play that has been running. We just finished the last run, I think last weekend.
And where is it?
It was playing at New Life Christian Center, which is the church I attend, right on Adams and La Brea. Everybody in LA knows where Adams and La Brea is.
And
right on the
you
corner.
helped with the casting, the producing.
I helped with the casting. I also did the makeup.
I'm going to show, well, you tell us what it's about. It's a play of 14 demons.
Yes,
And this thing-
it's a
and they
play
do-
that has 14 demons in it, and those are the characters that I actually created the makeup for and applied it every night. The play is about two churches, a mega church and a storefront church who sort of sits in the shadows of this mega church. And these demonic characters influence these two churches. As a result of these characters, the churches are both almost destroyed. But it also has in it angels as well as demons.
Did you do the angels
I didn't
too?
do the angels. Someone else did the
Oh,
angels.
you had to
Yeah.
do the horrible people.
It was great fun. And a life-changing experience, really. The play is fantastic.
I'm holding these all up because you had to make each person a different kind of a demon, right?
That's right.
Were you thinking about what kind of a demon they were when you were doing them?
Each demon has a name. She played the demon of lust. And these demons attach themselves to characters in the play, the human characters in the play, and they influence their behavior.
I see.
Yes, so she was the demon of lust.
And this last one?
This was arrogance.
Oh.
He plagued one of the pastors.
Oh.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it was fantastic.
That is interesting. So all the demons are the things that are like the deadly sins.
Yes, they're those influences, those spiritual influences that cause these people to act in ways that aren't good, that affect other people.
We had, what do we have here?
We had lust, we had arrogance, we had the demon of distraction.
Oh, that's good.
We had the demon of offense. We had the grumbler.
That's all of us.
What about me? What about me? What about me?
That's all of us.
Let me see if I can remember the other ones. We had the demon of failure.
So how long, does it go from church to church?
It does. The way that they're producing this particular piece is in churches at the moment. And Connie Robinson, who is the founder of No Weapon Productions, and who wrote this piece and also directed it.
And she's written a movie too.
Yes, as a matter of fact, she's in Cannes right now. She was nominated for a short film that she produced and directed, yes.
So did this help you as far as your acting by doing the makeup? I mean, you didn't act in it, did you?
No, I didn't.
No.
You know, we were talking in the green room that as artists, we usually have many talents.
Yeah,
just sort of depends on what it is you want to develop. This actually happened by accident. I had no intention of doing makeup. I learned it in college, and I hadn't done it since.
And along with that is a teaching that you do at that same church, Inside Out kind of group. What is it called?
The Inside Out group.
It is.
The Inside Out group is a group where artists, as well as other artisans in the industry, come together.
You said casting directors,
attorneys,
people.
Producers, dancers, singers, actors.
So they attend your meetings?
Yes.
Or your classes?
Yes. People in the industry, and also people who aren't considered professional, but have a desire to be in the industry as well. And it's a group that is a ministry, actually. It's founded in prayer. It's based in prayer.
I saw that.
Yes.
But is it like God helping you in these directions? That's what it sounded like.
Exactly. What we endeavor to do is help us understand our gifts and our talents better, and put them in the proper perspective in our lives. As you probably know, most artists labor over and are tortured by their gifts and talents.
But you talk about your love of preparation, prayer, and praise.
Yes.
So that all goes together. I thought those
Absolutely.
3 P's were great. So what is the preparation?
The preparation is, it's a very interactive group, though I teach in the group, and we teach biblically from the Bible about our gifts and talents. Our foundational scripture is Luke 5, where the vessel that Jesus sat down in, Peter's vessel, his boat, and our gifts and talents being our vessel, that vessel that God occupies.
Do we know, do we admit that we have this vessel?
We want to.
I see. I mean,
because as we do, we learn that we find and connect to the authenticity of our talents and our gifts, and therefore what we bring to the table as artists becomes authentic and original, and I believe adds to.
So do they, your students interact and they say, oh yes, she's really a great actress, she just hasn't found it yet? Or is it that kind of thing?
What we do is we talk about and understand our gifts and talents in regard to our spiritual life, our faith.
Yes.
As you do that, you become more familiar, and what I call, you get clarity of purpose, what that gift or talent is there for, how you perceive it, how you present it to the world.
That's what I was trying to get to, yeah.
Yes.
And then does God save our careers?
Absolutely. He does. Because I believe as we honor our gifts and talents And then those gifts and talents are freed up. I call it opening, where the talent now promotes itself. There's a scripture that says the gift makes room for itself. But in order for that to happen, there has to be a connection, and that gift and talent operating in its authenticity, its originality. We're masterpieces, each one of us.
It's honest, is I think
It's
what you're
totally
saying.
honest.
Because the gift can't make room for itself unless it's honest, and it's
That's
like
right.
letting something come in.
That's
Seems
right.
like to me.
That's right, exactly. And so it's life-changing in a lot of ways, and self-esteem and confidence and being able to recognize opportunity and being able to discern where your gift or your talent would most likely be in the industry.
Do you teach that at different churches, or is it like something that could be in a college course?
Absolutely, it could be.
Oh.
We've been at New Life Christian Center for about 9 months.
Oh, it's new.
It's relatively new, and it's very successful in that people are getting it, and their lives are changing, and they're getting better at what they do. And so, yes, I am intending to take it out.
Yeah, I can see it.
New Life Christian Center.
I can
absolutely.
see it. I can also see you're writing a book or a play or something that you've learned from these lessons.
I think a lot of things are going to come out of it, and a lot of people are coming out of it. It's so great to have a family and a community of people that have things in common, that we can support each other.
Yeah,
in
that's
the industry,
great.
we need to do that.
Oh, Gay, I think you're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you, and
you.
thanks for being with us today. I
Thank
think
you.
once you see that you have a spirit inside of you that can be opened up, it's so great.
Yeah.
And it shows on you.
Thank you, Joan. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
And thank you for watching the show today. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. See you next time.